with the Peoria Public Library with another DIY. This time we're making this wonderful pinata. It's even filled with candy. Really cool. Okay, all you need are a couple things from the dollar store and maybe an hour of time, and you can make one too. So keep watching and you'll find out how. So the first step in making the pinata is actually to form the shape that you want. I have this, which I already cut out before. It's a general pinata shape, but you can make any shape that you want. And this template will be available online with the video. Is my general shape that I'm going to use for the pinata. Like I said, it can be any shape that you want. You can make it Spider-Man, Batman, an ice cream cone, a basketball, whatever you want, as long as you can do the shape and then make two of them. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this out. Here's my shape and it's all cut out. I'm going to trace it onto a cereal box twice, okay, for the front and the back. So let's trace it. So at this point, as you can see, I've got shape 1 and shape 2. And I'm actually just going to cut them both out. It might be easier to cut the top of the box off right there so that I can more easily cut the rest of it. Okay. At this point, you should have two identical shapes. They should look like this, or basically whatever shape you've chosen. Okay, so I need to connect them in order to form my pinata. I need something that goes all the way around to connect them. And this, I'm going to use my handy dandy cereal box for it and cut out a strip about 1.5 inches wide. The easiest place to do that is probably to do it along the sides of the cereal box. So, to make sure I get all the sides, I'm actually just going to cut out the top again. So here's my sides, all splayed out here. It's still too thick, so I'm going to measure how big I want it. I want 1.5 inches. So, here's 1.5 inches. Right about there is how thick I want it. And I'm just going to cut a strip all the way down. Using my ruler, I'll measure it out to make sure it's straight. And now, just cut along the line that you've made. So, the thicker is the better. At this point, what you're going to do is you're simply going to connect the piece to each of them with masking tape. Start with one. I've got a bendy piece right here, and I'm going to connect it along the edge of the pinata. See how the bendy piece connects with it? I'm just going to do it all around the pinata with masking tape. So it should be connected with the masking tape. You can put masking tape on both sides to better secure it. After all, it's not going to be secure enough to support being hit with a bat. See how it's pretty secure? I'm going to follow the line across the entire pinata. So bending it up when I need to. At this point, do you see how I have the tape just kind of stuck holding it in place? You also want to secure that up. So right there, you want to secure that up, because otherwise when you put the candy in it, it's still going to fall. This tape is not going to be enough, so you want to add tape more on the edges. Okay. At this point, it should look something like this. You've got a nice little box, and you go ahead and use tape to seal up any edges where it's not quite perfect. Like here I've got one, I've got another one here. I'm going to seal it up with tape to make it, well, basically to make sure there's no hole so that my candy doesn't slip through, because I want my candy. So it should look like something like this. Right now it's not very pretty, but luckily right now it doesn't have to be. What you're going to do at this point is your other piece that has sat neglected for so long, you're just going to stick it on top, move the cardboard to make it stick, and then tape it just like you did before. That way you have a closed opening. Make sure you leave at least a little space so that you can stick the candy inside. Otherwise, you just have a pretty box, and that's not as fun. So, see how I'm lining it up as closely as possible? Lines up as closely as possible. I'm just going to tape it down to adhere it. Just like that, and do it all the way around. It's not going to be as pretty, but it should work. At this point, here's my pinata. That's what it looks like. It's like a nice little box. I've taped over any spot that might be troublesome, and I've left an opening for myself in the back where I can put my candy in. Okay, so at this point, go ahead and put your candy inside the box. And then tape down the opening so your candy cannot escape. There's my pinata. Not yet done because we need to decorate it. Okay. And decorating is one of the best and worst parts of making the pinata. First thing you need to do is cut off strips of your tissue paper to decorate your pinata. So it's going to make a real easy slit, which is probably the worst part. And then these strips are actually going to be taped to your pinata, okay, in layers. But in order to have that nice ruffled feel, you're actually just going to start cutting along the edge. So just into small little pieces like that. And just do it for all your strips. Now I'm just going to start layering it onto the pinata. Obviously this is too long for my teeny tiny pinata. So I'm going to measure it and cut it. Like I know this needs to be about that long. Put it right about there. There we go. I'm going to glue it down. Glue it. And my next piece, I'm going to glue over top a little bit higher up. I'm going to do that all the way up. And I'm going to change color as I go to have that nice pinata lines. Or you can make a solid pinata. It's up to you. Once you have it kind of like that, how you want it on the front side, do the same thing for all the other sides. Okay, just keep it going. Here's what your pinata should look like at the end. See how it's all covered? And you've got a pinata. You can trim up any excess, like I've got a little excess right here. I'm going to trim up. But otherwise, that's my pinata.